Top in the last 20 years, right?
No comment. And by desktop, I meant like in the files are in the computer.
The files are coming from inside the computer.
Indeed.
Welcome in, Zealdar.
Oh, hey!
Yeah.
Fellow Extra Lifer, can we get a shout out for them, please? Welcome in, friendo. We're talking tabletop role-playing games. This is one of the Extra Life rewards from last year that my community unlocked, so we're giving them a little bit of like a basic primer, pseudo deep dive. I don't know.
Tangents on tangents. On
Yeah.
tangents.
Yeah, how did your game day go? I was there for a little bit, I know, but it seemed like it was going well. But yeah, did everything work out all right? How you feeling? Did you get some rest? Everyone, go check them out. Awesome fellow Extra Life streamer. They are down south doing stuff with MomoCon, which is pretty cool.
MomoCon.
Yeah. They are the if I'm not mistaken, the leader, the charismatic leader of their team, and their team partners closely with MomoCon and doing some good. It was good. Barely stayed awake at the end. I've never fallen asleep on a 24-hour stream. That'd be crazy, wouldn't it?
Bold lie.
True. Very true. They were long.
Editor, run back the tapes.
They were long blinks, okay? That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Yeah. Long blinks.
Hell yeah, congratulations.
My favorite Stephen King novel, The Long Blink.
Yeah, right? Well, and similar to Zealdar's point, it's my favorite Cyberpunk 2055. Talks? Hello?
Can't sleep with the high-octane action of Garfield Kart 2, Spice.
True. That's so great, though. 2055, that you should be proud, my friend. That is incredible. Yeah, I think I did a lot of my DM prep initially in, like, paper. And then I just had way too many papers around my house. So I was like, this needs to stop. This needs to stop.
I've pretty much only ever... I mean, I've obviously written down some stuff here and there, but a lot of the stuff I would jot down would be in, like, a Google Doc, or I used OneNote for a time.
Yeah.
For some stuff to collect a bunch of different ideas. I can't even... I feel like my memory... I know I can remember my first, like, let's say longer running, like, multi-session campaign, and then the small break into the longer version of that, like, but I don't know if I can remember, like, my exact first DMing time.
That's fair.
Even though it wasn't, like, that long. It was, like, maybe, like, 12 years ago, but the brain is not great sometimes.
It do be like that. Let me see if I can just download this, I suppose.
Download
I remember my
these.
first time DMing. I was working in a kitchen, and during a shift we were all set up, and we were having a family meal, and I went up and I was like, "Hey, we're gonna play Dungeons and Dragons on our day off next week," and they were all like, "Yeah, okay." And so we all got together, and I had set up this huge projector in my dining room. And projected a map onto the wall, and a map that I had hand drawn and then scanned into my computer, and had all sorts of different monster stat blocks and all the things behind my DM screen, and we proceeded to have a fun Halloween adventure.
I love that.
Huzzah.
You didn't get a chance for your daughters to do your makeup, so you've rescheduled that for tomorrow. Nothing can go wrong, right? You're a braver man than I, my friend. You had some missing time. It's crazy how that happens in Extra Life, right? You know, you blink and it goes up. But no, to Ashwood's point, right? Like the easiest part, like the hardest and easiest part of this game is just starting. Once you get past that, it's literally like you're playing make-believe. You're making things up on the playground again, as we used to do when we were children. It's literally kind of that.
And people love to play
easy?
pretend with their friends.
100%.
That's the thing, is that people are desperate to do this.
Yeah, like we need more DMs so that I can be a player again. I mean, so that we can have more people enjoy this great hobby. Just to give you a little bit of like a sampler, like I said, I don't have the original document, but I built Chapter 2, Session 12. This is back when I was writing down notes for each session, because I was a good man then. In the before times, it was a simpler time. Candlewood was the first type of place I built for my homebrew world, my homebrew campaign setting. So I used a program called Incarnate eventually to build this map. It's pretty rudimentary. It's not as in-depth as I would like it to be. I tried to do some color coordination. Again, they're not a sponsor. They don't even know I exist. I don't even know if they're still in business. Odom is the capital city of this continent, at least as far as the like civilized world is concerned. Cliffguard is a big fortress that I invented. Foros is an adventurer town. There's a ruined city to the north that my players still have not investigated. And then Candlewood is like the first town that I ever built. When I decided I was going to come back and make this not just a one-shot, but a full-blown campaign, I started small and I worked my way out. So I built Candlewood first, then I built Foros, then I built Odom, and then I filled in everything else around that. There's another map that goes further south, there's another map that goes further east, but that's not necessarily as important as this snapshot is. So my advice, and this is the hardest thing, make a small town. Make an adventure in a small town, or in the wilderness, or wherever you want to place it. But start small and work big. Because once you get the hooks in you, after you've created something small, this is, again, my process. Some other people may do things differently. Maybe you make your capital city first, because that's more cool and exciting. But for me, that was overwhelming. I could handle a small town of 400 people, right? Or whatever. It's a farming village. Most people are farmers. There's a tavern, which functions as an inn. There's a butcher's shop. There's a mayoral estate that used to be nice, but is now crappy. And there are a couple other odds and ends that people can go and explore if they want to. That's it. Candlewood is known for making whiskey. I made that up in the middle of the first session. Because they were like, hey, what do they do with all their crops? And I was like, they make bread. And they're like, anything else? And I was like, and whiskey. Yep. Bread and whiskey. That's what people need to survive, right? But it really is kind of that simplistic. To read a small excerpt from my own DM notes. The second day they arrived just outside Candlewood, the small town can be seen in the distance. The wheat fields sprawled out before it, and the smell of wood smoke and bread can be smelled even at this distance. As dark approaches, they see a small campfire with a wagon parked offside the road. Here they meet a fellow adventuring party if they should stop. A female dwarf, who's a cleric, with cheek dimples. She's smiling, her brown hair in braids. She's wearing large metal armor with a shield next to her. And then her name. From there, I then go and describe the rest of these people. This is sort of them returning back to Candlewood. They met a fellow adventuring party who was looking into a cult of Tiamat, who's a dragon goddess. And it was kind of a fun moment for me because this was sort of a throwaway to some degree, right? I wanted to introduce another adventuring party and just kind of showcase the world was lived in. But there are hooks here that the players could follow up on if they want to, but they don't have to. They were in the middle of doing something else. But I threw that, like, rumors of a Tiamat cult in there to see if they'd bite on that hook. They didn't. So who knows what happened to these people? They haven't found them again yet. They know that they're alive, or at least were a few months ago, but they haven't experienced this adventurers since this point in person. So it's as simple as that, right? I described wheat fields. I described the smell of wood smoke and bread. Small town I mentioned. From there, additionally, one thing I like to do, and this can get more tricky now because AI art is so prevalent, and AI art has no place in AI in general, in my opinion, has no place in tabletop role playing games, but that's just a me thing, maybe. Other people feel differently. I know other people feel differently. I've got friends who feel differently. It's a source of contention. But what I would sometimes like to do to kind of get a certain feeling, to evoke a certain thing, for my use only, not being shared with the players, but for use of setting a scene and describing things, I would look up spooky house and use this as a touch point to sort of describe what they're seeing. And this was sort of the vibe when they first entered Candlewood. It was sort of a dilapidated town. They were there to solve a mystery as to why the crops were failing. That was their first admission. So I wanted a spooky building. I wanted a spooky vibe of a mystery. Why are the crops failing? What's going on with that? Run down, kind of dilapidated, hardworking, salt of the earth type folk. This was sort of just a little bit nicer than I intended, but sort of an idea of what the inn might look like. Open and shut, of course. The people that you might find in there. And again, this was just meant initially for my use only. I never thought that in 7-8 years I'd be showing it to a group of people on the internet. But just to try to give me an idea for how I could describe things, the thoughts and feelings I wanted to evoke with this place. So yeah. Hey, not a problem, Aku. Lurk away. Thank you so much for being here. I think that's pretty much what I wanted to get out of this. I hope this was informative to you all. I know I want to do more of these where we can talk more at length and dive into certain things. Sub creation, I think, is very cool, and it's always fun. I have learned something from every game I've ever played in and every game I've ever watched. Maybe it's not something that's blow your mind huge, but watching the way that Ashwood sets a scene gives me insight onto ways that I might be able to also set a scene. As an example, I had the pleasure of watching him and playing in a game with him last year at GSGC, but also over the internet and stuff like that. So yeah, just dive in. That's my advice. You want to play tabletop role playing games? Do it. Just go do it. DM it. Fail. Succeed. Do both. It'll be a good time.
Blow it up.
Yeah. 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 Anything that the two you would like to add?
Oh no, I was just gonna say I went looking through my Google Docs.
Yeah.
From years long past. Don't do that, people. There's some shit down there that makes me want to tear some of my skin off. But it's fun to do.
Yeah. No, I agree. I reread some of my notes and I'm like, oh my god, I thought this was so cool.
It's so sorry. It is so funny. It's I could see the progression of things where it's I could see this. Okay, this is the first real campaign session. At the time I wouldn't have known this obviously, but this is the character I played from my first longer running campaign as a player. And then the funny I the progression that happened because of a weird start where none of us really knew what we wanted to play. So we all were switching characters and classes and
God,
races or what. We were just between the first 2 or 3 sessions, nothing stayed the same or ideas consistently changed because we were all well, now I want to play this. I want to try this. I want to do this. Blah blah blah.
100%.
Until we finally settled on where we wanted to be.
Yeah. No, I absolutely understand how that goes. I feel similar. I look back at. I mean, my first character was Driss Duorden, but with the serial numbers filed off. One of my most recent characters was just a cooler version of me in an All Might skin who was a paladin. And he was a blast to play. He was so much fun, but like not stretching the boundaries of role play by any stretch of the imagination. I just walked up and I was like,